Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we make trendy and fun crochet tutorials twice a week. And if you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe to join in on the fun. Today I'll be teaching you how to make a beautiful basket weave tank top. It's tank top season where I'm at, so I wanted to partake with my own twist using the lovely basket weave stitch. This one's a super quick workup, so it's the perfect project for you weekend warriors. And speaking of, if you're looking for your next weekend project or something bigger, you're in the right place. We have got hundreds of modern crochet designs with many more designs coming, so consider clicking the bell to subscribe and you'll never miss an upload. Also, do me a huge favor and give this video a big thumbs up if you like it, or 2 thumbs down if you don't. Either way, it's a great way to show support so I can keep putting out those free tutorials every Wednesday and Sunday. Now it's time to get on the show, so without further ado. For this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a total of 200 grams of yarn. That's 350 yards if you're stateside, and the individual measurements will be on the screen. As for tools, a 5.5mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order, and enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us your favorite place to shop. For me, it's gotta be Daiso. I love snagging cute things for a great deal. Details for the giveaway down below. We're using 4 stitches for this project, and they'll be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. This tutorial is for size small, but you can adjust it for your size, and we explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting this top started, we are first going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Next, we are all going to grab our 5.5mm hook and start off by making a chain that's in multiples of 3 that reaches from hip across our stomach to our other hip. Now I need a total of 12.5 inches or 32 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain of 45. Now once we have our chain, we're going to be adding 1 extra chain. That's going to count as our base chain, and then we're going to block off that chain. And from here we're going to get started with our row 1, which is just a half double crochet row. So start with a chain 2. Now that chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, we just need the height. And we're going to yarn over, preparing for a half double crochet. Insert your hook into that chain that we blocked off, or the 3rd chain from our hook. Yarn over, pull through. When we have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Let's do this again. Yarn over, into that following chain, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3, and continue to put 1 half double crochet into every chain. Okay, so now that we have our row 1 all finished up, we're now going to get started on our row 2, which is going to be our first basket weave row. Now the basket weave for this piece is going to be worked in sets of 3 post double crochets, and we're going to start with 3 front post double crochets, so let's get that started. Let's all do a chain 2, and then flip our work. Now from here, working through our row 1, we're going to be skipping that last half double crochet that we have from our previous row. We're going to yarn over, and then insert our hook underneath that following half double crochet, and then through the other side. So we're going to bring our hook down, and underneath the body of that post, and then we're going to yarn over, pull through. When we have those 3 loops, we're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the next 2. And like I said, they're worked in sets of 3, so let's do 2 more. Yarn over, find the next half double crochet, bring our hook underneath, and through the other side. From here, we're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Let's do that again. Yarn over, bring your hook underneath that following half double crochet again, pull through 2, pull through 2, and now we should have 3 front post double crochets. Next, we're going to be doing 3 back post double crochets. So to get that started, we're going to yarn over again. And now we're going to bring our hook underneath our work. So we're going to bring our hook underneath and then over that next half double crochet. So in through that gap, over the body of that next half double crochet, and then through the other side, just like that. And then just like the other ones, we're going to yarn over, pull through. When we have those 3 loops, we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now there's our first back post double crochet. Let's do the next 2. Yarn over, bring our hook underneath our work, and then over the next half double crochet and through the other side. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then just 1 more. So yarn over, bring your hook underneath your work, over the next body of that next half double crochet, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Now all together we should have 2 sets, which our first set is our 3 front post double crochets, and then our second set is our 3 back post double crochets. And from here we're just going to continue to do this, making our way all the way down. So let's just do another each of these sets together. So our following set is going to be a set of 3 front post double crochets. So yarn over, insert your hook underneath our following half double crochet, pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over, underneath that following half double crochet, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then 1 more to finish off this set, pull through 2, pull through 2. And then let's do our back posts. So yarn over, underneath the following half double, through the other side, pull through 2, pull through 2, a second one, yarn over, underneath our work, and over that following half double, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then 1 more to finish off the set. So yarn over, underneath your work, through the other side, pull through 2, pull through 2. So all together, we should all now have 4 sets. So 3 front posts, 3 back posts, 3 front posts, and 3 back post double crochets. And we're going to continue to alternate between these 2, making our way all the way down. So I've just made my way all the way down with my front and back post double crochet sets. I don't have any more stitches left to work into, so all we're going to do to close off this row is end it with a half double crochet, just to keep it nice and blunt. So all we're going to do is yarn over, insert your hook into the last stitch from our previous row with 1 half double crochet, and now our row 2 is all finished up. Now let's get started with our row 3. So chain 2 and flip your work. Now for every odd number row that we are going to do, we are going to extend our previous row's stitches. So just as an example, my first 3 stitches look like 3 back post double crochets. So I'm going to be doing 3 back post double crochets. But if yours look like 3 front posts, you guys go ahead and do 3 front post double crochets. That's completely fine. I'm just going to show you guys my first 2 sets. So from here, I'm going to yarn over, find the first stitch from our previous row, making sure I'm not working into that half double crochet. And I'm going to do my first back post double crochet since my stitches look like back posts. There's my first, and we're going to continue on with the sets. So 3 of every stitch. Here's my second, and then 1 more for me. Now my first set is finished up, and that was 3 back post double crochets. Now my following set look like 3 front posts, so I'm now going to be doing 3 front posts. So yarn over, insert your hook, and I'm going to do my first front post into that second stitch, my second front post, and then into that third, my third front post. And then that's basically it. We're just going to continue to extend our previous row stitches, making our way all the way down. Alright, so we have just made our way all the way down with our row 3. We are always going to close off our basket weave row with a half double crochet, so just like how we did our previous row, yarn over, find the last stitch from our previous row, and just insert with a half double crochet. And now let's get started with our row 4, so chain 2 and flip our work. Now getting started on our row 4, or any even number row, that is going to be the opposite from what our previous row looks like. So what we're going to do from here is, since my first set looks like 3 front posts, I will now be doing 3 back post double crochets. So yarn over, making sure we're working into the first stitch, not that half double crochet. I'm going to bring my hook underneath, through the other side with my first back post double crochet. And then, just like before, I'm going to be doing a total of 3 of them. So there's my second. And then here is my third. So I now have my first set all finished up. And then just to do the next, since my following set looks like 3 back posts, I'm now going to be doing 3 front posts. Now we're just going to continue to do the opposite from what our previous row looks like, making our way all the way down. Alright, so we're at the end of our row 4, remembering that we always end our basket weave row with a half double crochet into the last stitch from our previous row. And now from here, let's just do our row 5. So chain 2 and flip our work. And like I said, for all of our odd number rows, we're going to be extending what our previous row looks like. So just as an example, since my first 3 sets look like 3 front post double crochets, I'm going to continue to do 3 front post double crochets. But if yours look like 3 back, go ahead and do your 3 back. All I'm going to do is yarn over, insert my hook into that first stitch with my first front post double. Here's my second front post double. And then here's my third front post double. And then just to do the next set, they look like 3 back posts for me, so I will be doing 3 back posts. So here's my first. Here is my second. And here is my third. And we're going to continue to extend our previous row stitches until we reach the end of the row. So I've just made my way all the way down with my row 5. And remember, half double crochet into the last stitch from our previous row. So now all we're going to do from here is repeat rows 2 through 5 until we get the length of the sweater that we need. So making sure that we're placing this first row right where we want the bottom of the sweater to be, working our way all the way up until we reach our underarm, and making sure that we meet back right before we're ready to get started on a repeat of row 2. So just as a reminder, we're going to chain 2, flip our work, and for every even number row, we're going to be doing the opposite from what our previous row looked like. So since this is row 6, since my first set looked like 3 back posts, I will be doing 3 front posts and onward. And then getting started on row 7 or any odd number row, just extend what the previous stitches look like. And just keep alternating like that, and then I will meet you guys back. Alright, so I am back with my basket weave rows. Now I have a total of 33 rows, and my height is roughly 15.5 inches or 40 centimeters. And now we're going to get started on our underarm portion. So what we're going to do from here is do a chain 3 and then flip our work. So right after our chain 3, we are going to start with a decrease of 3 double crochets. So all we're going to do is yarn over. You're going to skip that first stitch because that is the last stitch from our previous row, which is our half double crochet. We don't really need that at the moment. We're just going to skip that stitch, and then into each of the following stitches, we're going to insert our hook, pull up a loop, insert our hook into that following stitch, pull up a loop, and then into the stitch right after that, pull up a loop. And all together we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 loops on our hook. So we're going to yarn over, pull through the first 4 loops to get a total of 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through those 2. And then from here, the same rules apply for every even number row. We're going to do the opposite from what our previous row looks like. So my following set that I have look like 3 front post double crochets. So I'm going to be doing 3 back post double crochets. So yarn over, insert your hook underneath, pull through, and then from here we're just going to continue to do the opposite from what our previous row looks like, leaving the last set because we're going to decrease into the other end as well. Alright, so I just made my way all the way down with my decrease row. I have left my last set, and now we're going to end with a decrease of 3 double crochets as well. So what we're going to do is yarn over, insert our hook into that stitch, pull through, into the following stitch, pull through, and then into the stitch right after that, pull through. Should have a total of 5 loops on our hook. So yarn over, pull through the first 4, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we still need to end this row off with a half double crochet. So yarn over, and then into the last stitch from our previous row, a half double crochet. Now we're only going to be decreasing into every other row. So from here, just chain 2 and flip our work. And now that our work is flipped, we're just going to continue to do what every odd number row is, which is just extending our previous row stitches. So since we should have 2 available stitches right here, we're just going to skip over those because we just need to be working our post stitches. And since my first set looks like 3 front posts, I will be doing 3 front post double crochets. So yarn over into the first with my first front post, with my second front post, and then my third front post. My next set looked like 3 back posts, so I will be doing 3 back posts. And we're going to continue to extend our previous row stitches, making our way all the way down. So I've just made my way all the way down with my falling basket weave row, and we're going to close this row off with a half double crochet, per usual. So yarn over, and then into the last stitch from our previous row, 1 half double crochet. And from here, it's just going to be a repeat of our 2 previous rows. So our falling row is going to start and end with a decrease of 3 double crochets, and then the row after that is just going to be extending that row stitches. So I'm just going to get started on the falling row with you guys, and let you guys do the rest on your own. So from here, we're going to chain 3 and flip our work. Now whenever we get started with our decrease row, we always want to chain 3 because we're starting with a decrease of 3 double crochets, and it's always going to have just a little bit more stretch to it. If we just chain 2, it's going to be a little bit too tight. So what we're going to do is yarn over, skip that first stitch from our previous row because that counts as the half double crochet from our previous row, and then work into the following 3 stitches. So into that next stitch, pull through, stitch after that, pull through, and then stitch after that, and pull through. Yarn over, pull through all 4, yarn over, pull through 2, and since this is an even number row, we're just going to do the opposite from what our previous row looks like. And since my first set looks like 3 front posts, I will be doing 3 back posts. Continue to do the opposite from what our previous row's posts look like, and I'll meet you back when we have just 1 set left to do. Alright, so I've made my way all the way down with my basket weave. I have 1 set left to do, so let's just do our decrease. So yarn over, insert your hook into that following stitch, pull through, stitch right after that, pull through, and stitch right after that, and pull through. Once we have all 5, yarn over, pull through the first 4 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, and we're always going to close it off with a half double crochet. And just in case if you're wondering why we're doing the half double crochet along with the decrease of 3, that's just so that once we do our single crochet row along our armhole, we're working into the side half double crochet instead of this entire decrease. Keeps it looking a little bit cleaner. But all we're going to do from here is chain 2, flip our work, and since this is an odd number row, just extend our previous row stitches. And from here, we're just going to continue to repeat these 2 rows, so a decrease into every other row, until this reaches the base of our neck. And I'll meet you guys back right after we end an odd number row so we can just work with our strap. Alright, so I am back with my underarm decrease portion. Now I have a total of 41 rows and my height is now about 18.5 inches or 47 centimeters. And now we're just going to do the shoulder straps that we just up to the top of our shoulder. So what we're going to want to do from here is insert our stitch markers right where the outside of the base of our neck is, but we need to make sure that the numbers are in multiples of 3 plus 1. So for me, mine was actually pretty easy. I needed my stitch markers to be just about 3 stitches in and then plus 1, so I inserted my stitch marker into the 4th stitch in, and I did it along both sides to make sure that it's even. And now we're just going to continue to do our basket weave stitches, making our way all the way up till we reach the top of our shoulder. So since my hook is still into my work, from here I'm going to chain 2 and flip my work. Now we're going to continue on with our following row, and since we should have ended right after an odd number row, we're going to do an even number row, and that's going to be the opposite from what our previous row looks like. So all we're going to do is do our first 3 stitches. Mine is going to be 3 front post double crochets. And now that I have my set, I am actually all done because my stitch marker is right here. If you guys have more sets to do, continue to do that until you reach your stitch marker. But once when you do, we're just going to insert our hook into that stitch marker stitch with a half double crochet. And now this row is all closed off. And so from here, we're just going to continue to repeat our basket weave rows. So just to do the next odd number row, we're going to chain 2 and flip our work. Now, since this is an odd number row, we're going to be extending our previous rows. So since mine look like back posts, I will be doing back posts. And we want to make sure that we are always ending our rows off with a half double crochet. So now that I'm at the end of my row, I'm just going to insert my hook into the last stitch from my previous row with a half double crochet, and then that's it. We aren't going to be doing any increases or decreases, so just continue to do this until this reaches the top of your shoulder. Do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then I'll meet you guys back just to talk you guys through how to do the other side. Alright, so I am back with my shoulder strap. I now have a total of 50 rows, and my total height is 23 inches or 58 centimeters. Now from here, we're going to repeat everything we just did here for the same amount of rows on this side. So we're going to start by inserting our hook into that stitch marker stitch, and then we're going to be working to the left now. So go ahead and insert your yarn onto your hook. You're going to pull through, and then we're going to do a chain 2. That chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, and from here we're going to do the opposite from what our previous row looks like, because this first row that we're doing for the strap is an even number row. So I'm just going to do the first one with you guys. If you guys have more working to the left, that's completely fine. But my first set is going to be 3 front post double crochets. So working into that set directly underneath, I'm going to do my 3 front post double crochets. And if you guys have more stitches, that is completely fine as well. Just make your way all the way down until you don't have any more sets left to work into. And then just close the row off with a half double crochet. From here, chain 2, flip our work, and repeat. I'll meet you guys back once we have the total length of this strap all finished up right after I do a chain up of 1 and cut. So I've just finished up my second strap, and we are now all done with the front panel. And the back panel is actually going to be done pretty much the same way as the front. The only difference is that we aren't going to have straps for the back. It's just going to be a solid portion that goes straight up. So I already have mine all finished up, so I'm just going to show you guys what it looks like and talk you guys through it. So getting started with the back panel, we're going to make the same amount of chains that we made when we did our front panel, starting from the bottom, and do the same amount of basket weave rows, making our way all the way up. And then we're going to do the same decrease underarm portion for the same amount of rows. And like I said, from there, we're just going to do our basket weave, working our way all the way across. And then just continue to do our basket weave, making our way all the way up until we have the same amount of rows as the front panel, and then do a chain up of 1 and cut. Once we have all that all finished up, I will meet you guys back so we can seam everything together. Alright, so now that both of our panels are all finished up, the next thing we're going to do, right before we seam everything together, is single crochet along the edges just to make seaming the sides a little bit cleaner and a little bit easier. So what we're first going to do is take one of our panels, it doesn't matter which one because they're going to be done the same way on both sides. We're going to insert our hook into the bottom corner stitch. Go ahead and insert your yarn onto your hook, pull through, and then do a chain up of 1 to secure, and all we're going to do is do a single crochet row, alternating between 1 to 2 single crochets into every side half double crochet row, all the way up until we reach our first decrease row, and then do a chain up of 1 and cut. So let's just do the first few together. So this is my first side row that I have right here. All I'm going to do is insert my hook into that side loop, and then do 1 single crochet. Let's find our next. This is my following side row. Now I'm going to insert my hook into there with 2 single crochets. So there's 1, and then once more into that same loop. There's 2. And that's it. Let's do the next set. This is my following side row. I'm going to insert my hook into there with just 1 single crochet. And this is my following side row. I'm going to insert my hook into there with 2 single crochet. So there's 1, and then into that same side loop. There is 2. And just continue to do the single crochet, making our way all the way up. We're going to stop right when we reach the row right before our decrease row, and then do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then repeat the same single crochet row on the other side of this panel, and then along the other panel as well. And then I'll meet you guys back. So as you guys can see, I have single crocheted along the edges of both of my panels, and I also did it on the other side as well. And now that everything's all finished up, we can seam it all together. So first things first, we're going to start by inserting our hook into the bottom corner stitches of both the front and the back panel. We're then going to insert our yarn onto our hook and pull through. From here, do a chain up of 1 to secure, and we're just going to do a single crochet seam, making sure we're working in through both the front and the back panel at the same time. So let's just do the first few. Start by finding that first available stitch into the front panel, and then we're going to find that next available stitch into the back panel. Next, from there, we're just going to single crochet. Let's do this again. Next stitch into the front panel, insert your hook. Next stitch into the back panel, insert your hook into there, and then single crochet, and that's it. We're just going to continue to do this until we don't have any more single crochets left to work into. When we don't, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then repeat everything we just did here on the other side. Alright, so our sides are all seamed up, and now we're ready to seam our shoulders. So we're going to make sure that our work is still flipped wrong side out, meaning the seam that we have along the sides is faced along the outside. We are then going to insert our hook into the corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. Insert your yarn onto your hook, pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure, and now we're going to do the same single crochet seams. Let's just do the first one since we already know how to do this. We're going to insert our hook into that first stitch into the front panel, into the first stitch into the back panel, and then just single crochet, and then that's it. Continue to do this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into within the front panel, and then repeat everything we just did here on the other side. Alright, so now that everything is all seamed together, the next thing we're going to do is our armhole. Yes, I've already done one of mine, so let's do the other one together. So let's all start by making sure that our work is flipped right side out now, meaning all of the seams that we have are now along the inside. And then we're going to be inserting our hook into the stitch that we have that's nearest to our side seam. Right after that, we're going to be grabbing our primary color yarn, if we are using 2 different colors, and then we're going to start by doing a single crochet row along the entirety of our armhole. So let's all start by inserting our yarn onto our hook. We are going to pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure, and all we're going to do is put 2 single crochet into every side row, making our way all the way up and around. So let's just do the first few. This is my first available side row right here, just to make sure we're working into the right one. The next stitch that we should have within that first row that we have that's available should be our decrease, and this is my decrease cluster right here. What we're going to do is insert our hook into there with 1 single crochet, and then into that same side row with a second single crochet. No, there's that. Let's do another one. This is my following side row right over here. I'm going to insert my hook into that top loop with 1 and then with 2 single crochets, and that's pretty much it. I'm just going to continue to do this, making my way all the way around, slip stitch into that chain space. Now, if we're using a secondary color for our armhole detail, I will do a chain up of 1 and cut, but if not, just slip stitch into that chain space and then hang tight. So now that my first single crochet row along the entirety of my armhole is all finished up, since I'm switching out to my secondary color, I did a chain up of 1 and cut. Now I'm going to insert my secondary color yarn onto my hook and then just do another single crochet row just to keep it nice and clean. If you guys are only using one color, then you guys can just hang out for a minute. Once we all get the single crochet row finished up, then we can get started on the length. So all I'm going to do is insert my yarn onto my hook, pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure, and then put 1 single crochet into every stitch and then slip stitch into that chain space. So my second single crochet row is all finished up, the one with my secondary color, and now we're going to make a chain the length that we would like our armhole detail to be. Now I would like for mine to be just about 1 inch or 2 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain of 4. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then once we have our chain, we're going to do a slip stitch row back. So block off that last chain, do a chain 1 and then into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook. Go ahead and insert your hook into there. So insert. Once we have both of those loops, all we're going to do is yarn over and pull through everything on our hook. And a really quick tip is not to tug too tightly after every stitch, otherwise the following row is going to be way too tight to work into. So let's do another one. Into that following chain. Once we have those 2 loops on our hook, just yarn over and gently pull through both of those loops. And continue to put 1 slip stitch into every chain. And once we reach the base, we're going to find that next available stitch into the base and slip stitch into there to close off this row. So insert your hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull through everything, and now our first row is nice and complete. Now getting started on our second row, we do need to work our way up to it, so slip stitch into that next available stitch into the base, flip our work, and now we're going to be doing back loop slip stitches to get some ribbing and a really nice stretch. So I'm going to start by finding that last stitch from our previous row, which is this one right here. I'm going to insert my hook in through that back loop, yarn over, pull through everything, and again, insert your hook into that back loop, yarn over, and pull through everything. And continue to do this until we reach the end of the row. And when you're at the end of the row, just like me, chain 1, flip your work, and then put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch again. And now that we're at the end of our row 3, just to connect it once more, we're going to need to slip stitch it into that next available stitch into the base. So insert your hook into there with a slip stitch. And then just to work our way up to the following row, which is our row 4, find that next stitch into the base, slip stitch it in there, flip our work, and then put one back loop slip stitch into every stitch. And from there, we're just going to continue to repeat those 2 rows with no increases and no decreases, and making sure that we're connecting it into the base the same way that we just did until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, I will meet you guys back so we can seam everything together. So now that I've made my way all the way around with my back loop slip stitch rows, I don't have any more stitches left to work into the base, so now we're just going to seam it together. So first things first, we're going to want to make sure that our work is flipped right side out, meaning all of the seams that we have are along the inside. And then we're going to insert our hook in through the corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. We're going to yarn over, pull through everything on our hook, and let's do the first outside loop slip stitch seam. So we're all going to start by finding that first available stitch into the front panel, and then we're going to insert our hook only in through that front loop. Next, we're going to find that first stitch into the back panel and insert only in through that back loop. And once we have those 3 loops on our hook, all we're going to do is yarn over, pull through all 3. Now let's just do one more. We're going to find that next stitch into the front panel and insert in through that front loop. Next stitch into the back panel and insert in through that back loop. Once we have those 3 loops, just yarn over, pull through all 3, and continue to do this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then repeat everything we just did here on the other side. Alright, so as you guys can see, I am all finished up with my armhole details, and the next thing we're going to do is our neckline. So this is going to be done basically the same way that we did the armhole, so I'm just going to talk you guys through it. So first things first, we're going to make sure that our work is still flipped right side out. Next, we're going to be inserting our hook into any one of the stitches along the back panel, right where our neckline is, and then we're just going to do a single crochet row all the way around. So it's going to be pretty simple. We're going to be putting 1 single crochet into every stitch, 2 single crochet into every side row, and then make our way all the way around with our primary color. If we are switching out our colors, like I am, I'm going to slip stitch into that chain space and do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then I'm going to do a second single crochet row with my secondary color. So I'm just going to put 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way around from there. I'll meet you guys back once when I have both of my single crochet rows all finished up, and then I'll talk you guys through how to do the length. Alright, so I just made my way around with both of my single crochet rows. As a reminder, my first single crochet row was with my primary color, my single crochet row was with my secondary color, and now we're going to do more back loop slip stitch rows just like how we did for the armhole detail. So what we're going to do is make a chain the length that we would want for our collar to be. And I actually want my collar to be another inch or 2 centimeters. So just like how I did my armhole detail, I'm going to make another chain of 4. And once we have our chain, block off that last chain, do a chain 1, and then slip stitch all the way down. And then from here, it's going to be an exact repeat of our armhole detail. So once we make our way down to the base, slip stitch into that next stitch into the base, slip stitch into that following stitch to work our way up to the following row, flip our work, and then put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. And then from here, we're just going to continue to do our back loop slip stitch rows, making our way all the way around. When we don't have any more stitches left to work into, we are going to do another outside loop slip stitch seam, but I'll meet you guys back just to remind you how we're going to do that once more. Okay, so I have made my way all the way around with my back loop slip stitch rows. Don't have any more stitches left to work into, so now all we're going to do is seam it together with the same outside loop slip stitch seam that we did for our armhole details. Let's just do the first one. Let's all make sure that our work is flipped right side out. Then we're going to insert our hook into the corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. Then we're just going to yarn over, pull through everything. And let's all start by finding that first available stitch into the front panel and insert only in through that front loop. Then we're going to find that next available stitch into the back panel and insert only into that back loop. And from there, just yarn over and pull through all 3, and then that is it. We're going to continue to do this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into, and then do a chain up of 1 and cut. Alright, so now that our collar is all seamed up, we are all done. Last thing we're going to have to do is just weave in all of our ends. And there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Join us on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. Those links are down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Catch you on the next one. Bye!